This is Joe Hanley from the Open University, and it's been a while since I've done one of these videos about my work, but I have something coming out about memes and children's social care policy, and honestly, I just couldn't resist the chance to make a video with loads of my favorite memes jammed in here.
Guess what? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. It's a trap.
Zero Dragons!
Open Gangnam Style.
So some of these memes that I've started peppering in here you probably recognize, but what I want to talk about today, the piece that I've written is called More of Memes Than of Schemes, and it's a chapter in the upcoming book, The Future of Children's Care, edited by a couple of great lads, Robin Sen, Christian Kerr. I'll talk about it a bit more at the end of the video. But the premise of the chapter that I've written is that policy networks in children's social care use memes to perpetuate ideas and ideology and to indicate to others in the network that they're like on side. So this is not really a new idea. I back up the analysis and justify the use of the terminology of memes in the chapter using sociological theory and work around networks, including that of Manuel Castells, Stephen Ball. So it also builds on some of my earlier work on networks and network culture as well. Some of my earlier videos, they cover some aspects of that, so check those out. I also draw on some of the social work literature around discourse and keywords, but I won't go into all that right now.
Thank you very much.
So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, a meme is a piece of cultural content that is transmitted through repetition, imitation, and alteration. So memes, they get chopped, they get changed, they often become completely disjointed from their original premise or source. Memes are usually like a visual or text mashup. That's probably the most common kind of meme. And certainly when you hear the term meme, that's what it often is referring to specifically. But there's also there's audio memes, there's text memes, there's video memes, there's spoken memes. Here's a few more of those video memes for you.
And do the Harlem Shake.
Okay, I promise to get onto the chapter now. So the chapter talks about policy memes. And while policy memes can definitely come in other forms, including visual memes, they tend to be more often than not, they're likely to be text or spoken, basically word-based memes. So catchy slogans, lacking nuance, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. People can put their own understanding on them. So this can help explain why people complain, this was not my Brexit, because they weren't really voting for a specific policy or plan. They were voting for a meme that, they either put their own understanding on, they had a very different understanding from many other people, or they never really had an understanding of it in the first place. The meme just gripped them. So some examples of memes from social work and children's social care that I talk about in the chapter include reclaiming social work, high quality social workers, the case for change, once in a generation opportunity. So another meme I talk about in the chapter is safe and stable. And for those in children's social care, that probably sounds familiar. It's quite an interesting and illustrative meme, and it's a good example of how memes chop and change and get perpetuated to mean different things to different people in different contexts, but with a specific focus on children's social care here. So I find early examples of the usage of safe and stable in the 2010 Policy Exchange report, but it really gained steam after the 2016 Putting Children First Department for Education policy, where it was used a lot. And following that, any organization or individual who wanted to signal to the government that they were on side could use that meme of safe and stable. So Frontline, for example, the controversial social work qualifying training provider, they basically adopted safe and stable as their slogan, and they still use it prominently today. So considering Frontline's founder, Josh McAllister, led the recent McAllister Care Review for the Department for Education, I talk about that in detail in the chapter. But, this meme of safe and stable was prominent in that review too. So I go into more detail about how the meme was kind of used to perpetuate ideas within the review. But like I said, memes change, and the term love has actually been increasingly been added to this safe and stable idea. And in the government response to the McAllister Review, this can be seen really clearly. The response is literally called Stable Homes Built on Love. And that does show how memes kind of get replicated and mutate. So we've already started to see stable homes built on love being used, and this idea of stable homes and love put together being used by organizations and in policy. So expect to see it everywhere now. Another prominent meme I talk about related to the McAllister Review in the chapter is this idea of a reset or a radical reset. And that may be, it's probably the most parroted meme stemming from the review.
Reset the system.
That needs a radical reset.
Of the reset that we're calling for today.
Our plan resets children's social care.
We need a big reset.
The system needs a complete and radical reset.
So it's a complete reset. The ideas are really about one thing, which is resetting the children's social care system. That's the big reset that we're calling for today.
And so the review is bold and broad, calling for a reset of the system.
Mr. Speaker, I welcome the review's conclusion that a total reset of children's social care is needed.
So the proposal that Josh put forward about the whole total reset of the system to get to a different place is one that, you know, I've supported for an awful long time.
This is not the radical reset the review demanded and which we need.
So this idea of a reset becomes the defining meme of the review, and one that, as with the political and policy memes already discussed, lacks nuance or detail, so it speaks to as many people as possible, and people can impose their own understanding upon it without really grasping the totality of the review, what it's actually recommending, or the issues of social care in general. Of course, this idea of a policy reset is not new. For example, Boris Johnson used it a lot, but it's been used effectively here around the McAllister Review, creating this false sense of consensus that a radical reset is needed and that the McAllister Review is the one and only way that that reset can come about. So the heavy lifting of convincing people that should usually involve, scrutiny, critical analysis, this is done through memes and political and media networks who often don't have the time or the knowledge or the inclination to go into depth into these issues. They're all too happy to use memes, whether it's to push a political agenda or just to make them seem like they have insight into these issues involved when they really don't.
Good soup.
So I think a key goal of the chapter was to highlight this, that these are just memes. And I hope that it takes away some of the power and invites more critical analysis of what lays behind the memes. Recognizing that the way these policy memes proliferate through these small policy networks, it's not dissimilar to how they do amongst, your usual friendship group or polarized social media or small online communities. So I'll finish there. I hope as many of you as possible read the whole chapter. I get a bit more into the sociological stuff. So please go out and buy the book. All proceeds go to charity. There's a link in the description. There's some other great chapters in there by the likes of Caroline Willow, June Thoburn, Anna Gupta, many others. If you want more from me, follow me on Twitter at Joe E. Hanley, or just hit the subscribe button and like this video. And I'll put a link to some of my other work on networks in the description as well. And, just look out for those policy memes. Once you start, you'll see them everywhere. Thanks a lot.